Welcome to Buckle Up with the Boys with your host, Drew Billy, and special guest, Nate Steis. It's going to be a hell of a ride, so subscribe down below to stay up to date with all things Buckle Up with the Boys.
Nate, how are you doing today? It's another great episode here of Buckle Up with the Boys. It's a pleasure to have you on, buddy.
Appreciate it, Drew. Doing great, man. Hope you're doing well too.
Yeah. No, but we have a lot to touch on today. We got a new intro there. The fiance came on to do the intro, so that was nice of her as well. But we got to touch on some things here in college basketball, Nate. I mean, how's your bracket looking? That's the big.
Yeah, it's crazy. At this very moment, I'm in first place in one of my brackets. I'm top 15 in another that has about 500 people. And then in another one, I'm top 10 that has about 200 and some odd people as well. But the only thing is, I'm done. I had UConn winning, getting to the Final Four, and that's where I'm done. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, what shakes out, and maybe I'll do all right. But I had a good year. It's just some of these folks might have San Diego State or Creighton or somebody else. UConn winning the whole thing, Texas. But
Right.
A pretty good showing. Just I don't know. It was a weird year, man. Really weird.
Right. No, and it's amazing to see that UConn is the only team left that has won a national championship before. You know what I mean? That's
bizarre. It's really bizarre. I did a lot of research per usual this year, picked a lot of teams based off of their offensive and defensive efficiencies. It's why I picked Creighton to the Elite Eight. It's why I picked UConn to the Final Four. It's why I picked Houston to win the whole thing and Alabama to also be there in the end too. But a lot of that has gone out the window. FAU can certainly score it. Texas is a pretty dang good team. San Diego State's on a heck of a run, and FAU just amazing run. So you never know, man. It's March. It's crazy. It's truly madness this year.
Yeah, no, and I'm just surprised by, and I think everybody was taken back, and I think where brackets got destroyed was Alabama losing and Houston losing. I did not expect that to be
within an hour of each other. Trust me, I was ticked off Friday evening because if they would have kept on winning, I may have won the entire thing in every bracket that I submitted. I submit the same bracket. I do one bracket every year, throw it into several things, ESPN, different challenges and stuff. And right now I'm in the 99 percentile actually on ESPN. But the thing is, people are going to get UConn right and Texas right in the Final Four or whatever. Some people pick Creighton, and I'll probably finish in the top 90% or something. But yeah, it's frustrating. If they would have kept winning, I'd had a really good shot.
Right. So you think Creighton's going to win today, Nate, or what do you?
Yeah, I'd pick Creighton. I was telling my friend Trevor Dinsmore, I think that Creighton's going to win in a tight game, kind of a slug it out sort of game. That's the way San Diego State wants to play. But Creighton can play that way too. I think Creighton's going to win by one possession. So I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah, and I think Texas. I don't know. I don't know what the
right. That's going to be a heck of a game too. I haven't mentioned Miami so far, but their guard play has been incredible. Them and UConn's guard play has been the best of the tournament. I don't think there's really any debate about that. There's been a few other guards here and there on some of those other teams, but Miami and UConn, they can just fly. They can shoot. Their defense has been really good. They turn you over. I don't know. I think if Miami's guards shoot the ball well, Texas is going to be in for a game. But if Texas can get it inside, that's where they're favored. I think they're better inside.
Yeah, no, and just looking at the highlights of UConn game, they just blew them out of the water. Gonzaga, 82-54. Holy shit.
Yeah. When Drew Timme gets in foul trouble, that certainly doesn't help. Probably the greatest player in Gonzaga history, obviously in the conversation anyway, the leading scorer of the tournament, 28 points a game plus, had been 36-point game the game before. But UConn's pressure is just incredible. They held Gonzaga to a season low in points, the number one offense in the country. So what a great showing by UConn. They have just blown everybody out. And I think they're, the first or second team ever to win every game so far to get to the Final Four by 15 points.
Yeah.
Yes. 15 points plus. So, I mean, that's a testament to them. They're playing their best basketball when it matters. And they have not lost outside the Big East all season long. So they've beaten every team outside the Big East all season long. So if they see Creighton in the end, there might be the team that takes them down. That's what the stats are saying right now anyway.
Yeah, no, but I got to tell you, you and me both playing basketball in our younger years, Nate, it drives me nuts that these guys huck up these threes and they do not follow their shot. Like they could get the rebound, but they're trying to be like Steph Curry and run back.
Right. Right. The game has changed, Drew. It's a completely different game from when we were growing up. We grew up super early. It was the Shaq era of dominance, and then there was a few other centers that had their time, but really, Stephen Curry's been a huge part of the rejuvenation of why this game is the way it is now.
Right. And
I will say, the teams that are following their shots from three, it seems like Miami and UConn, it's kind of why they're there. They're making a lot, and they're getting a ton of offensive rebounds too. So the shots that they are missing from outside, they're getting them and putting up for two. So that's what's been working for them.
Yeah. No. And then, anything else you want to touch on the NCAA side, Nate?
The women's bracket, I don't think we have this on the agenda, but the women's bracket, this has been one of the best tournaments for the women's side too. Two number one seeds go down in the round of, to get to the Sweet 16. So that was pretty crazy. Virginia Tech, this is their first Elite Eight. They're still around. Louisville's gone on a run. Not many people picked them. I knew Louisville was good. I actually did pick them to win some games. Not a lot of people did. They had a nice run as well, still going. UConn, this is the first time they haven't been to the Elite Eight in years, So Gino Auriemma was not happy about that, but they'll be back, they'll get Paige Beckers back, and they get a lot of great recruits. But, truly, and I'll totally admit to this if this doesn't happen, but if anybody else picked anybody but South Carolina, good for them, because I could not pick against them. They are just incredible. I don't think they're losing. Even if they only scored 50 some odd points yesterday against UCLA, they still dominated the game. So they're going to be a tough out. That's who I have. And my women's bracket's in like the 97 something odd percentile. It was 100 percentile a couple days ago, but then some of the losses happened. Like Virginia Tech won. I didn't pick that. Right. So, I didn't pick them to get to the Elite Eight, but still doing all right this year. Just, it's been crazy. There's been a lot of weird upsets.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And I think the thing with South Carolina too, the women's team, they're in your face. They don't. Tenacious defense.
And it's girl 1 through 15 on their team or whatever it is. Their bench was outscoring their starters for most of the season because their starters would get such a lead early on, and then their backups and reserves would come in, and they would blow out the starters from the other team or the reserves from the other team. It was unbelievable, the depth that they have.
Right. You're trying not to run up the score, but
you're not.
Everybody's got
right. Yeah. It's crazy, man. They're talented. Coach Staley's done an incredible job there. She's a great coach.
Yeah. No. But switching over to other things here, Nate, NFL, the draft's coming up here. We still got a month roughly.
Yep.
I got a couple of guys I want to touch on. Maybe there's some guys you would like to touch on, but I'm in the thing I sent you here with the Chicago Bears, their first pick going with CJ Stroud. You can't just, and I think we talked about this in our previous episode. So you can't just get a quarterback and not give him any weapons. Like you're just not gonna,
right.
And you run into that too with Houston taking Bryce Young at the second pick projected. Like, there's no.
Yeah.
What do you think on that?
Right. There's very few guys that can come into any team and just be successful at the quarterback position. You got to have some sort of weapons. Right. There's been plenty of times where you've had good quarterbacks look like bad quarterbacks because they truly have, whether it's a line, skill positions, or a defense that puts them back out on the field to have to score 30 and 40 points every single game.
Right.
You can't do it. I personally think that CJ Stroud's the best quarterback in this draft, and not a lot of people are saying that. I mean, some people are, but not a lot of people seem to be saying it at this point. We've heard every quarterback seem to be shuffled through in the last few months that said, oh, looks like they're going to go one, and this quarterback's going to go one.
Right.
There's 4 or 5 different quarterbacks that still might go number one. We don't know whether it's Levis or now Anthony Richardson or Young or Stroud. You don't know who's going to go.
Right.
And I know everybody's probably saying it's another Ohio State quarterback with Stroud. He had all the weapons, all the best linemen, all the stuff. I think he's the best one. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you agree. And if you don't, that's totally fine. But I don't know. He's my favorite right now.
I think he is ready for the big game. Like he's very composed. I mean, I only watch really Penn State games. And when he played against Penn State, he's very composed in the pocket. He doesn't, make stupid plays. He doesn't force it. You know what I mean? So it's like, and he could run, what I mean? Like he has the mobility. I think they're seeing, he's kind of like a Justin Fields in a way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Oh, actually, sorry, Nate, I apologize. That is from Chicago Bears, the round pick. It would actually be Carolina.
Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize on that. But again, Carolina doesn't have any weapons, though.
I'll tell you
what. It's a dumpster fire down there.
They weirdly enough, they got better when they got rid of the people on paper that you'd think would be good. They got rid of McCaffrey. They got rid of Robbie Anderson, even though I don't know what he goes by now, some other name now. But we all know Robbie Anderson. He's changed his name 7 times in the last 3 years. But yeah, they got rid of these weapons and these people on paper who you think would be better. And they had more success with some of these backups, which was strange. And I know Matt Rule was fired and they had the new coach and stuff. So that certainly helps. And that division, they played more division games at the end of the year. So that certainly helps because the NFC South was terrible last year. Right. But I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do. They traded away DJ Moore for that. There's your number one receiver right there. Right. They'll have a few guys that'll be helpful, but that's a tough situation. Carolina is a team that it seems like they're good like once every 10 years. Like they're like they went to the Super Bowl with Jake Delhomme the one year and D'Angelo Williams. And then, 10 or 12 years later, they go to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton the one year. And then pretty much all the other years they stink. It's weird. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, even Steve Smith was on the team then too.
Right.
I mean, he was a hell of a weapon. But the guy that I'm most excited about, and I wish the Steelers could get him. I know everybody out there knows you and me are Steeler fans, but Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama, that guy is a dog. Yeah. I mean, Arizona trying to fill the void, I think, of J.J. Watt. That's why, I mean, I mean, watch his tape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's one of the best players in the draft. Arizona would be smart to take him if they can get him early. He's going to be one of the first few players off the board. Realistically for us, Drew, we're going to I honest to goodness think we're going to keep it in the family here. We have whether it's Connor Hayward or Derek Watt or whoever else is associated. I really think it could be Joey Porter Jr. for us, in our first round pick. And of course, we just keep it in the family because obviously his dad played for us, a great player. And Joey Porter Jr. is a great player too.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But there's always some sort of connection. It seems like the Steelers have. It's like the Patriot way and then there's the Steeler way. They're similar, also have some differentiation. And it seems like if you're related, like you get a shot. I didn't understand why we picked Connor Hayward last year. I'm going to be completely honest. But he exceeded my expectations. And honestly, I was like, why did we get Derek Watt? We don't even use fullbacks. No. But Derek Watt's played great. He's been fantastic on specials. He's, a great player. So a lot of these things, oddly enough, have worked out. So Joey Porter Jr., I know he's great. I've watched him in person several times. And he knows the Steeler organization. He's grew up around it. So I'd be happy with that pick. But there's also some other needs, Drew. What do you think they'll do?
I definitely think you need to get secondary with, Joey Porter Jr. there. But also offensive line, I'm going to tell you, and we'll touch on it later in the show here, but their offseason signings, I am ecstatic as hell. I mean,
they've made some good ones. They've also made some ones I didn't expect. They let go of Miles Jack and then Terrell Edmonds left and went to the Eagles. Miles Jack, he went I don't know if has he gone somewhere yet? If he did, I can't remember. Devin Bush has gone too. He went to Seattle.
I'm okay with that one.
Oh, same. Me too. Yeah, that was an okay one. But they have signed 2 middle linebackers that are pretty good. Their secondary is going to be rough. They lost 2 starting secondary members. They honestly got an old front on the defense for the most part. They might re-sign Bud Dupree, and they might get him for nothing, which would be okay with me as a rotational guy. Right. But, yeah, I think offensive line and secondary and maybe even interior defensive line would be what I would draft for sure. So we'll see what happens.
No, they need the offensive line, and the Steelers put it on their social media page, building up Pickett's fence. You have to. The guy had 2 concussions. We need to protect him. You know what I mean? I know Ben flew off the motorcycle, after his rookie season, but we don't need to have it happen on the field. But
for sure.
But there's one thing, and I don't have it in here, Nate. Just before the offseason signings, we touch on some of those. Very interesting here, and it's been posted, but I looked at it myself. Stephon Diggs unfollowing the Bills and following the Dallas Cowboys. Do you think he goes to the Cowboys in the offseason here?
I'll tell you what. I think that he's going to give Buffalo one more shot. What I think, though, is Buffalo they keep running it back with the same crew.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They just don't seem to upgrade at the positions that they need to. And they just seem to get in the same spot every year, and they can't get by the Bengals or they can't get by the Chiefs, but they don't change anything. You know what I mean? And I really think that it comes down to their investment in running the football, because they run it with Josh Allen, and there's no question the dude's incredible. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the best players in the league right now. He's a very unique football player, his skill set. He does a lot of things very well. But his usage is so high, they're going to run that dude into the ground, and they just will not give it to a running back 15 times. And I think that's what's killing them, because they give the ball back to their opponents quick. Their defense is always on the field. Even if they did score, they score so fast that their defense doesn't get a break. And I think that's what's missing. I really do. I really think that's what's missing. They got to invest in a run game, and if they do that, they're going to still be there. They're going to be there regardless if they invest in a run game. But if they can run the football better, and Ezekiel Elliott is available and a couple other guys, I think they'll be better off. That's just what I see from them.
Yeah, no, and I think they've had some signings here looking at it right now, but keeping it in the family, they signed Josh's brother to backup quarterback. Did you see that? Kyle Allen? Yeah.
Well, that's not his brother, is it? I don't think so, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I don't think, but he's got the same last name. And Kyle Allen's another one. He's bounced around, and he was a starter for Washington. He was a starter for the Panthers, but he's another one. Like he's been around. He's always hurt. And one thing that's going to be interesting to follow about Buffalo as well is Leslie Frazier took a year off as their defensive coordinator.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting to kind of see what their defense shapes up like. They do get a lot of guys back. They were super hurt last year. I mean, goodness gracious, they're down to their 3rd string safety in the playoffs, from DeMar Hamlin and Micah Hyde and all that stuff. That was awful. And that's just a Buffalo stupid thing to happen. And I felt bad for them. Right. But they got some things they got to fix, and I just don't think they fixed them. I don't. No. They're going to get to the same spot again.
They patched it up for a little bit, and then, the leak, they just patched the leak, and it's not completely fixed. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. So I guess to answer your question, I never did answer your original question. I think Stephon Diggs will give it one more crack, and then he might go to Dallas. His brother plays for Dallas, one of the best, defensive players in football. He's just a ball hockey. That's what he does. It would make sense. And Jerry Jones has spent a lot of money on wide receivers. So there might be that shot. One thing that'll be interesting to monitor is if the Cowboys do get any more wide receivers this year, or if they're just going to hold off. They're going to say, let's do what we can with what we have. They've cleared some cap space for maybe an OBJ or somebody else. Or if they're going to wait with that cap space, maybe invest it a little bit different this year, and then maybe go after Stephon Diggs next year. But
I could see that too. There's Pat, just wait on. But I was just amazed by him, just the extracurricular stuff after that game. And then I'm like, oh my God, he unfollowed him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the place would burn down.
Yeah.
if he left.
Yeah. No, they'll be very unhappy. And Stephon Diggs has been a top receiver in the league for several years. He's been, a godsend for that organization. Josh Allen's top target. So he is super vital to that team. Gabe Davis is great. Dawson Knox is great. They got a couple other guys. Isaiah McKenzie's good. But if they lose Stephon Diggs, I mean, that's 100+ catches a year. Where does that come up? Where do you replace that? It's going to be tough if he would to leave.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like what we ran into with, he's not even close to Antonio Brown, but it took us how many years to figure it out, what I mean?
Exactly.
Yep. But kind of going on those kind of things, one guy that did replace Antonio, I felt, during his time with the Steelers, Juju Smith-Schuster goes to the Patriots. That burned. That burned me, Nate.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to come back. I really did.
No.
You didn't think so?
No. Okay. He'll never come back, I don't think. I don't think he'll ever be a Steeler again. He's pretty much gone to two of our bitter rivals at this point, the Chiefs. I know that it's not necessarily been a rivalry, but we've played them in some big games, and we got them earlier, in the Mahomes and end of Smith era, and then they've gotten us recently. They've really gotten us bad recently, by the way. But then the Patriots are the Patriots, and we obviously don't like them. We haven't liked them for 25 years plus now at this point. But yeah, it's a tough world. He needed to do what was best for him. He got a 1-year prove-it deal with the Chiefs. I know it's $9 million or $10 million, whatever he got from the Chiefs. Pretty nice prove-it deal. But now he's got that long-term, kind of investment from a team. And he got it from a team that does not really invest in their wide receivers much. No. They get guys. I mean, goodness gracious, they only gave Randy Moss a few years. Right. They kept people like Welker around for a few years in their prime, but they were cheap. Edelman, same sort of thing. This is one of their highest free agent signings for wide receiver ever, and they let go of some of their guys that they drafted for Juju. So. I didn't see that coming. I didn't think Juju was structured enough to go to New England.
God, no.
But I don't think he's mature enough, but we'll see what happens up there. I think that they have a game plan to use him very highly. I think they have to, because they didn't throw the football well at all last year. And thank goodness Matt Patricia is not their OC anymore, because he stunk. He was terrible. He was horrible.
But do you think here's a hot topic question for you. You think Kraft's going to do a TikTok with Juju?
Oh, geez. I'm sure Juju's already crafted a million ideas on how to get Bill Bell and Kraft in there, and some of those guys up there that are in Patricia. And oh my gosh, that's the thing that surprises me.
Yes.
Are they going to tolerate that stuff? Like, how is that going to fly? Juju loves the social media, the video content creator, and that's totally fine. Like, that's who Juju is, and he's unapologetically himself. It's gotten him in trouble sometimes, but it's also gotten him to be one of the most popular athletes in North America, truly. A lot of people know who Juju Smith-Schuster is one way or another. So I don't know how that's going to fly. I don't know if it's going to. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, and it's just it will have to see how that plays out. But the interesting thing here, Nate, and it's on the script here. Gardner Minshew signs with the Colts. Again, me and Josh have touched on it before in our episodes. They're one quarterback away. Are they ever, do you think, going to figure out the quarterback position in Indianapolis?
This is how I boil it down. This is, I don't know if many people think about this. They have been one of the luckiest franchises in the National Football League's history. Yes. And I'll say this, and I'll say exactly why. They could have gone with Ryan Leaf or Peyton Manning. And that was a debate. It was. And they went with Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. They could have went with RG3 or Andrew Luck. And they went with Andrew Luck. So they lucked out twice, But then on the flip side, you got what you thought was going to be a career-ending injury with Peyton Manning, and they let him go. Mm-hmm. And then Andrew Luck goes and retires. Yeah. So they've been like the luckiest and unluckiest franchise. And when they're down, they're stinking down. They're really, really bad. They've tried to do this patchwork. Phillip Rivers did okay. He was serviceable, especially considering the way Carson Wentz and now Matt Ryan have played. I mean, goodness, Pete, they stink. They have stunk Oh my goodness, they are so washed. Gardner Minshew, I think, just needs an opportunity. He is a guy that's a fringe starter or a fringe backup. He could be either way. I think there will be times in his career where he becomes a starting quarterback. This could be a year for him that he becomes a starter, whether it's to start the year or to end the year. But I think they finally wised up, and they're going to draft a quarterback, and Gardner Minshew is going to bet on himself to try to beat that quarterback out to start the year. That's what I think.
Yeah. No, I don't know what other option you have. I mean, I really don't.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just again, that's a dumpster fire in that quarterback room. I'm sorry. I mean, I guess you try to bring in a young buck there, but the other one I was hoping Eric was going to be on it because I wanted to really hear his take on this. The Las Vegas Raiders getting Jimmy Garoppolo. What do you think about that?
Here's the only issue I have with it. Jimmy and Derek Carr to me aren't that far apart. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get rid of Derek Carr, you better go get like someone that's like proven. Like Jimmy's gotten to certain games, but like he's never won any of the big games. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like if you put Derek Carr on the teams that Jimmy was on, they would have had the same outcomes, So maybe you saved a few bucks. You probably didn't even save money to get rid of Derek. I honestly think that they made Derek Carr the scapegoat for a terrible, terrible coaching decision. Yes. I think it was a terrible coaching decision. I think it was there. There's no reason that Josh McDaniels should have been a head coach again. No. He started his head coaching career 6-2, and then they found out he was cheating, and he's been terrible ever since. He finished his tenure with the Broncos terrible, and he's with the Raiders and he's terrible. And there's rumors out there the reason they can't get rid of him is because they owe him too much money, and the team doesn't have the money to get rid of him.
Right.
So I think he's got this year, and if they don't do anything, he might be gone. And he should be. He shouldn't even be there, in my opinion. That was a terrible hire. That was terrible.
I think they're going to learn if they don't nip it in the butt quick, Nate, that they're going to turn into the Broncos, and the Broncos are still trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they went from one spectrum to the other, though.
Yeah,
in the best way possible. They went from a guy that was totally a poser, in my opinion. Like Nathaniel Hackett was terrible. Yeah. He had Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, and Devontae Adams, and then a nice running back room. I mean, holy crap! Most people I felt like could win with that. He gets a shot and he's terrible, and he showed that Russell Wilson's not a guy that can do what Aaron Rodgers can do. Not many people can. Not many people ever can do what Aaron Rodgers can do. Yeah. So they tried to do that, didn't work. Now Sean Payton's more of a disciplinary and structured coach. Yep. So I think that he'll turn that around. I really do. I really do. I think he'll make Russ do what Russ does best, the play action, the rollout passes, and they run the football heavily. They're going to have to. They're going to have to because they're not winning any other way. I don't care what anybody says.
And they really got, and I think bringing Sean in, I think they're going to figure out to get weapons there. I mean, no offense to Jerry Jeudy, but he's not the guy. Like he's not the, you know what I mean? He has not been.
No. End of last year, he picked it up. He really did. Yeah. He had a great finish to the season. He's been a little hurt. He's been in some weird systems with some weird quarterbacks.
Yes.
I think he deserves 1 or 2 more years to really show if he can do this or not. And I'll tell you what, I know everybody's been saying Jerry Jeudy's a breakout candidate since he came in the league, but this year I really feel like he is because Sean Payton schemes better than most people in the history of football. That's not even a debate. He's really, really good. I mean, there's people with Sean Payton that don't even make sense to be good. Like Robert Meacham was way better than Robert Meacham ever should have been. Lee Evans was a serviceable receiver. Willie Snead was a great receiver. Jimmy Graham was all pro multiple times. And then he fell off the wagon entirely when he left. Yes. And he went to a team that you'd think would have been good. He went to Seattle and then he went to Green Bay and he went to the Bears and he couldn't do anything with any of them. No. So I think it's a testament that Sean Payton puts those people in the best positions to succeed. And I think he'll do that with Jeudy. And if he doesn't, then Judy's probably not going to be a Bronco much longer because they put a lot of stock into him.
Yeah, no. The other thing we got to touch on, Nate, and I was waiting to talk to you about this, and I'm happy we were able to do it today. Daniel Jones contract with the Giants. What do you think's going on up there?
I'll tell you what. Daniel Jones' agent is the MVP of the 2023 season. There's no question. He is. Daniel Jones had a great year. He did. He's very serviceable. Not worth $40 million a year. Not even close.
No.
What did he get? Almost $200 million in that contract about?
4-year, $160 million.
Yeah. Deal. So he got 160. Yeah. You know, if he would have did one more year, he would have got $2 million. If it would have been a 5-year, he would have got it.
Yeah.
So 4 years, $160 million. The problem that I have with it is their biggest weakness is their wide receiver room. Their weapons. And that's not – Saquon's incredible. Mm-hmm. But you lose Kadarius Toney. You had all kinds of injuries in that room. You had Kenny Golladay. Thank goodness he's going to be somewhat off the books because he was horrible. He had 1 touchdown in 2 years up there. What a terrible signing.
Yeah, not good.
You know, but when you put $40 million into one position on a team that, you know, is already kind of lean, in my opinion, they don't have a lot of players that make plays. It's going to be tough. And in that division every year is weird. It's really tight no matter if they all win 10 or 12 games or they all win 7 or 8 games. It's always really, really tight in that division.
Yeah.
One thing I think that actually is going to help Daniel Jones and the Giants is the Eagles certainly got worse on paper this offseason. They lost a ton of players.
Yes.
So that's going to be helpful. Dallas, they're about the same, I think.
Yeah.
They're going to be in the conversation. And Washington, they'll somehow be there. It makes no sense. They'll be around. They'll be pesky. They'll beat a couple of those teams. They might squeak in as a wild card.
Yeah.
That division's tough, man. It really is going to be tough. But the Eagles losing those players makes the move hurt, I think, just a smidge less right now. Anyway. But not a good deal when it looks from the looks of it right now.
Right. And I think just you touching on Washington there. Do you think Jacoby Brissett's going to start next year? I mean, they threw $8 million at him.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I think so.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted a quarterback as well. They've kind of been through the wagon too. Yes. You know, Alex Smith, poor guy. Goodness gracious. You know, that was not a bad move to get him. It really wasn't. You can't help that you shattered your leg and goodness gracious, he almost died. It was horrible. Right. And then Carson Wentz, that was an absolutely asinine move. You know, what are you thinking? Horrible. Yeah. And then Heineke, he's done fine, but now he's gone, you know. Yeah. And I don't blame him because they keep screwing him around. They wouldn't give him a shot, truly. No. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So, you know, Brissett I think will get a fair shake, but I think they'll draft a quarterback. You know, the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes, they seem like they were in on it for a little bit, but then that's not happening. Yes. It doesn't look like they might trade for him. That's still an option. The Ravens can match it and stuff, but no, I really think that it'll be Jacoby Brissett first, and then maybe they'll draft someone, and it'll be a competition anyway.
Right, and I'm going to take a shot at the Commanders organization. Taylor Heineke, he might have not been the most skilled quarterback, Nate, right, but the heart that kid played with,
absolutely.
I mean, and the teammates glorified him. They enjoyed it.
Absolutely. You know, and that's the thing. When those players believe in a guy, even if he's not as good, that speaks volumes. You saw it with San Francisco. I mean, goodness gracious, they almost went to the stinking Super Bowl with a guy that on paper you wouldn't have thought. When he went in, nobody thought that, you know, Brock Purdy would do what he did. No way. Nobody. Except for their team. And that's all that matters. Their team believed in him. And that's what matters. And same thing with Washington. They believed in Taylor Heineke, and he played pretty decent for most of the season when he got a fair shake. But yeah, I was disappointed with the way they handled that kid. I think he did a lot of things right, and he kind of reminds me of Gardner Minshew too. When Jacksonville, he didn't get a fair shake. Their team was horrible. They were 1-15. It wasn't his fault. And then they signed Nick Foles for 5 years. Nick Foles plays 2 games, and they keep screwing him around. And then they're like, all right, see ya. We'll trade you to the Eagles. Yep. And then I thought maybe he'd start over Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is much better than I think most people realized. So he's kind of had those two have kind of had a tough road. So we'll see what happens in their new homes.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. Heineke signed a 2-year deal worth $20 million. I mean, I think he deserves it. I'm happy he finally got paid. I mean,
Right.
and I don't even need to get in the Commanders organization. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
The owner needs to sell that team. That's all.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to leave.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a joke. That man is. The things he's done is terrible.
Yeah,
Oh,
and we'll touch on just a couple more signings here, and then switch over to NBA, Nate. But Andy Dalton getting basically a third chance at his career with the Panthers. What do you think about that? I mean,
I'll tell you what. Every single place he goes, he finds a way on the field. Whether it's injury, whether it's he earns a starting job over some rookie or some old other veteran.
Yeah,
Andy Dalton will get a fair shot. He will. And the thing is, Andy Dalton is he's another one on the fringe of starter backup. He's had a pretty solid career. He's, nothing jumps super out, but he's pretty consistent. He keeps showing up. He doesn't really get better or worse. He's just kind of the same guy every year. And he's going to give most likely a rookie quarterback a good run for their money. If they don't draft a rookie quarterback, I mean, obviously the job is probably going to be Andy Dalton's, and then they're going to tank. I would think they're not going to have a very good season, and they're probably going to be like tanking for something else.
Right.
But I would be shocked if they traded for the number 1 pick and don't pick a quarterback and let Andy Dalton roll the dice. But yeah, I feel like Andy will get on the field there somehow or some way, whether it's injury or he'll earn the job outright up front. He'll find a way. He's a warrior, very, very underrated quarterback and athlete, just a grinder, man. A lot of respect for him, even if he's not, a superstar quarterback. He's very serviceable, and he's had a great career.
Yeah, I hope that hopefully the Red Rocket has a second, third coming here with his career.
Yeah, he keeps putzing around. I think this is his 5th team. He was with the Bengals, the Bears, the Cowboys, the Saints, and now the Panthers. So what is this 5th team?
5th team, 5th coming now, I guess.
Yeah.
But we cannot touch on it, and everybody was waiting for me because I'm just so happy Tom Brady retired. You know how I feel about Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But Baker Mayfield coming in to fill in the role. What?
Wow.
What do you think about that?
It's one of those rare times where I'm honestly going to say I kind of feel sorry for Baker. Because you got to replace the GOAT, and I know he answered the question pretty well, especially for Baker's answers. He said, "I'm not going to try to be Tom. I'm just going to try to be me." And that's all you can do. They got some weapons for the guy. They still got Mike Evans. They still got Chris Godwin. They got really good tight end room. They got a couple decent running backs. They're going to be all right as long as they scheme different this year and their line can hold up. They'll be all right, especially in that division that's way down right now. I mean, gosh, that division's a joke. Oh, it's bad. So they might patch it with Baker and be able to make the playoffs once or twice in the next couple of years. I don't think it's that far-fetched because the division's down so bad. So it's an all right signing. I think he's a placeholder until they figure out what they want to do.
Right. No, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think a lot of people know that he was involved with the Steelers before, but Bruce Arians, that guy can fix anything. He's one of the best football minds, I think, behind the scenes, Nate.
I think that they made a mistake hiring Todd Bowles as the head coach.
Yes.
I think that Todd Bowles is a better defensive coordinator than head coach. Mm-hmm. And I think Byron Leftwich did have a very good year, but the team didn't. I don't know why. I don't understand it. I think their line was horrible. I don't know if that's necessarily a Byron Leftwich problem, but you can tell that I don't know if he can fix this as someone in their upper management. I think he can only fix it as their coach. So he's content playing golf now. This is like his second or third retirement. I don't know if he can fix it other than if he jumps in again and coaches. And I really think Todd Bowles is going to be on the hot seat. I'd argue he could have lost his job after 1 year. I don't think he did a very great job. The defense got worse. The offense got worse. Statistically, on paper, I thought they were as good or if not better than what they were the year before. So we'll see what happens. But Baker gets a shot, and he deserves it. He's another one. He's right on the fringe of being starter backup, and I don't know what he is yet. I don't think he knows what he is yet, or anybody knows what he is yet.
No, but I want to pitch this question to you as well. And I was thinking about it. If Tom would have came back this year, let's just say, I don't think Todd would have been there. I really
no. I think if that would have happened, Tom would have gotten. They would have had to have let Tom completely pick pretty much everything: offensive coordinator, head coach, all the weapons. Heck, some of the defensive players and special players he probably would have picked. And I think he probably would have said, Bruce, will you come out of the booth and be our head coach for 1 year, and then that's it? I honestly think that would have been what it was. It'd have been that, or saying we got to hire somebody from New England or something, because Todd Bowles ain't it to me.
No.
He's a great defensive coach. He is. He's an unbelievable coordinator and position coach, but I just don't think he's it for a head coach. And he proved it with the Jets, and I think he's proven it with Tampa Bay. But we'll see what happens this year.
Right. And then we can't touch on offseason signings without talking about our Steelers here. I mean, all around, I'm excited, to see Patrick Peterson, though. I wish we got him earlier in his career, Nate.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think you need to get a guy like that. You got Minka back there, but I think you need to get an older guy to get these younger players a little jazzed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And him being such an all-pro, hopefully we can, figure out our secondary, because I'm going to tell you, if the season's like it was last year, I'm going to have a heart attack. I can't.
It was one of the weirdest seasons ever. I honestly thought we would be lucky to win 4 or 5 games at one point, and then we win 9 and almost make the stinking playoffs. I was miserable in the fall, early fall. I was miserable. I'm like, I don't know what it's like to have a team that sucks in the fall, like in pro football. And that makes us spoiled for sure. I didn't see Mike T getting us out of that, but testament to him, testament to the guys for battling back. TJ Watt came back and played unbelievable. The offense did it barely enough to get us to win. I don't care what we do on defense, Drew. If we don't score more than 20 points a game, 22 points a game, we're not going to do anything. That's just we might win 9-10 games, but we're not going to win a Super Bowl scoring 17 points a game. It's not going to happen.
Right. And I, we'd like to keep it not just all Steelers, but I do have to touch on it, Nate. Everybody's saying we should have waited till this year to draft a quarterback. I don't agree with that. I really don't. I think we should have had I like Kenny. How do you feel, though?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Kenny's better than I thought. I was not happy about the pick. I really didn't think he was that great. Kenny's done enough to earn the starting job. There's no question about it. He's Mitchell Trubisky, obviously didn't deserve to keep that job after a little while. And, that's totally fine. But Kenny's had some great moments. He's led us down the field for some game-winning drives. He's made some big throws, especially the last few games of the year. But he's also thrown a ton of interceptions, and he's got 2 concussions already. So I really think this is what needs to happen. Matt Canada just needs to be departed with, and we got to get a new system. I don't think it's necessarily all Kenny Pickett or an offensive line problem. I think it's a Matt Canada issue. Like, we're just not scheming. We're not scheming other ways that teams are successful, and maybe that's because they don't think we have the personnel, but I don't care. Like, you're not going to win scoring the 17 points. You're just not going to do it. Or you better have the 2000 Baltimore defense and the 1984 Bears defense. That's who's going to win you those games. Or the Steel Curtain. That's it. Or the Purple People Eaters. That's it. Those are the teams that are going to be able to help you win when you score 17 a game. That's it.
Right. No, I agree with you totally. But we'll see what I want to see. I'm very interested to see who they draft. I hope they do get Joey Porter Jr. I really do.
Yeah. There's a very likely scenario. I've seen it enough times, and I just can't even believe it. I can, because it's the Steeler way. Joey Porter Jr. in the first round, and then Jordan Addison in the second round, because he's former Pitt guy, and they've been in the building with him. Right. And, our wide receiver room is going to need a makeover again, because I really don't think Deontay Johnson will be re-signed after this year. I think he's a goner. I think he'll be like, you're not going to pay me this, and somebody else is going to. I think Deontay Johnson might have his best year as a pro this coming year. He can't. I mean, last year was good, but he needs to get in the end zone, and he needs catches, and he needs touchdowns. And this is his prove it year because he's got to catch the dang ball. You're right. He's got to catch the thing first. My goodness gracious.
I mean, and the other thing that drives me nuts, and we'll touch on it too, and I haven't seen another team do it. And we watch with group of friends and family friends and all that. And I'd be like, why in the hell are you not running forward? You run back 5 yards.
He runs backwards and sideways. Yeah. It's bizarre. It is the weirdest thing.
You had 7 yards, but then you ran back 5, and it's a 2-yard gain. What are you doing?
I know.
I don't know. Hopefully they work that out in training camp. Maybe you and me have to go down there and get some whistles, and we'll figure it out. Just run forward.
I'm sure.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm sure so many people have said something to him. I don't know what it is about him. I don't know. I think he's got a little bit of an ego. I think he does. And he's a great player. I don't have anything personally against him other than he drops the dang ball. That's it. But, I think this is very likely his last year as a Steeler. I think that we draft a wide receiver high, second round. I think Addison could be that guy. And him and Pickens become the guys, and Freiermuth and whoever else they throw in, Kelvin Austin the third or whoever. Yeah. But I think that Deontay's going to be like, I want $20 million and whatever, and go ahead. Then go get it because we're not giving it to you. We can't afford to do that. No way.
In my mind, and I don't know if people out there will agree with me, Nate, but I think Pickens was his replacement. I think they drafted him just to replace him.
It could be him or it could be the next guy they bring in, whether it's this draft or the next draft. The combination is going to replace because, Claypool, thank goodness he's gone. He was becoming a prima donna, he thought way too much of himself. And the next 2 years, everybody's going to say, geez, all we do is draft wide receivers. Well, the way we're going is we keep wide receivers for 4 or 5 years on the tag, or if they're a first-round pick on the option, and then we just keep cycling them, and we don't give very many big deals. Or if we do give them a big deal, they get 1 or 2 year, 3 year max big deals. That's it. So,
yeah. There's no Hines Wards anymore. I wish we did have Hines Wards, but
right. Well, the thing is, Hines Ward never got a huge deal. He was always willing to take like more of a club-friendly deal, and Antonio Brown got, a huge contract, and goodness gracious, rightfully so. At the time, there was no reason he shouldn't have. At the time, he was the best receiver in football. He was the best receiver in football for many years, and he deserved it. But they're going to take a different approach now. They're going to spread it out, and I get it, but you got to score points. If you're not going to pay him, then you got to find another way to score points. Whether it's running the ball as well as the Eagles did this year or the Ravens a few years ago, you got to come up with the other skill position somewhere or ways to get in the end zone somewhere, because scoring 17 a game is not going to be enough. It's just not.
Right. No, and then, just switching over to the NBA side of things here. Nate, this might be unpopular opinion, but I think this year more than ever, we're more broadcasting the injuries of these superstars in the NBA than them actually playing. Like, I don't, you being a Kobe fan, and I don't know if other people saw it. The guy dislocated his finger. I don't know if you ever saw that. And then he goes over his trainer and he snaps it back into play. Like, guys are out 2 weeks now because of that.
Yeah. It's quite a change. The money in the NBA has changed so much. The league has grown exponentially. International, attention on it. All these countries have NBA games streamed. Yes. The CBA continues to grow. The salary cap grows and grows. Yeah. The ownership, they pay more in luxury tax and more. Like the Warriors' luxury tax is insane. They just keep paying it. There's no reason they should have all these players, but their owners like, I want to keep winning because I keep making more money, so I'll do it. When some owners don't do that. So a lot of these folks are worried about their money, and their agent and them have a deal. They say, well, don't keep playing because, if you're out 2 weeks and you play through it and you get hurt worse, then it doesn't just impact your life. It impacts mine because I get a chunk of what you make too. So there's a big mess with it. these players are almost incentivized not to play. There's also, science researching the load management stuff as well.
Yeah.
And sure, there have been teams that have been super successful with it. The Spurs were successful doing it. And they took some of the fines and said, we don't care. We want to give them a rest. We think it's best for our team. Right. But yeah, it's weird. There's been a lot of injuries this year. Yes. I think another thing, I don't think there's any research that's really out on this, but I think what's happening is a lot of these guys are coming in with 30 and 35-year-old knees, 25, 20, and 30-year-old ankles. Mm-hmm. Because they played AAU basketball since they were 6, 8 years old. Yes. I think they're so hurt. Their body, look at Lonzo Ball. I mean, goodness great. And his is an extreme situation. It's unlike anything that's ever happened. I mean, he's going to be one of the first guys ever to try to come back from this certain surgery that he's about to have. And God love the guy because he's been through a heck of a lot with his dad and fans, whatever. But I think that the wear and tear on these guys' bodies is different than what it was. And it just shows, like, if you're not going to put in $2, $3, $4 million on your body and you're going to start running AAU at 6 and 8 years old, then you're probably not going to hold up, and that's kind of what makes people like LeBron a little bit different. And, I know Steph seems to always kind of get hurt, but Steph is still out there at 35 and 36, and Chris Paul is still out there at 37, 38. Kyle Lowry's still out there. They must do something right. And a lot of these young guys, they seem to be getting hurt at a higher rate than some of the old guys, Right. LeBron hadn't gotten hurt really until he joined the Lakers. There was really no big injuries that he ever had until he joined the Lakers. He didn't join the Lakers until he was like 34. He was in the league for 16 years or 17 years before he became a Laker, whatever it was. And he's just 38. He's hurt. He's going to be hurt that way because he's 30 stinking 8. There's no way to avoid it. But I think there might be something. There's no way to prove it, Drew, but the AAU has to be hurting these guys. And then, the other part of it, like I said, is the contracts. They're so high. So there's various reasons for it. And then here's the other thing that I have. The NBA fines people for sitting people on the bench because people pay tickets to come see them. Well, I don't like that necessarily. The coach should be able to play whoever he wants.
Right.
It's his team.
Yeah.
Why is he? I mean, it's stupid.
I think and I don't mean to quote, Kobe again, but, Kobe and Michael had this philosophy and they're, the two greatest of all time, but, their mindset was, hey, flu game, Michael, he had no business of even playing in that game, but he's like, there's that little kid in the stands, paid all this money to come see me and play. I just kind of think we're losing it. The business side it's taken more over than the sport. Yep. And it is what it is. I mean, people want to have, retire with, no offense, Nate. I think you and me could retire with $1 million and we'd be okay. These guys have 100 million. I think you could play a little bit. I think you could play through that sore ankle.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Ben Simmons. I mean, he's played 2 or 3 years in a row now, and he's on almost a $200 million deal. And he pretty much said, I'm not playing because I don't want to be picked on. And his career is winding down because his feelings are so hurt and his ego is so big that he can't, he's just lost himself. As soon as next year or maybe 2 years, that guy's going to be on a 10-day contract somewhere. That's how much his career has gone down. He went from all NBA and perennial all-star to a guy who literally can't even play. He can barely play. He's lucky he's 6'11", or he wouldn't be out there. He's terrible. Can't shoot, won't shoot. No. Percentages are bad. His plus minus is bad. It's just, I can't believe how much, he took that to heart. It's so bad.
If he wasn't 6'11", and I'll tell you, back in the day when he first came on the scene, it was, he sucks at free throws, but he can dunk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. He can get the. Sure. But now it's just everything sucks. Like there's just there's no. He's a body out there. He's 6'11". Yeah. That's it. That's
right. I mean, it's sad because he went from the 6'11" guy with guard skills to we're going to put him in the post and hide him. But the issue is he still can't make free throws. He won't shoot. He will not shoot. He won't even put up layups. He pretty much drives to pass. Like it's weird. So, Yeah, it's bizarre, that a lot of these guys, and sure, I understand mental health is a huge deal. It is. There's no denying it, but there's got to be, if you're a professional athlete, you got to be tough too. There's got to be some toughness to be out there. I don't care what anybody says.
Right. I mean, you don't have to be like the guy on my shirt here, Dennis Rodman or Ron Artest, but
right.
I mean, you got to have a little strongness.
Yeah, you have to be mentally tougher than letting the fans of Philadelphia say you suck at shooting baskets. Why don't you just go practice? Like that would kind of help, right? Instead, you just go become a hermit for 3 years and then pop out of the hermit shell and say, I can play. No, you didn't change anything. In fact, you didn't address your mental health much, it seems like, and you still can't shoot. So pretty much all you did was take a rest for 2 years and say, well, I guess I'll try it again now.
Right.
It was weird. What a weird situation.
It is. And that's just, and it kind of goes along with the kind of other drama going on. So I don't know if you saw the clip, Nate. It popped up on Instagram when I was looking at the NBA page, and I was like, I have to throw this in the script. So Luka, makes a gesture going like this to the ref, gets fined $30,000. Like, what happened to the guys being themselves on the courts? Like, you can't even do anything anymore. Like,
I know. I'll tell you what. There's certain guys in this league. It's pretty obvious they're picked on. There's no denying it.
And he was a superstar, though. That's what I'm
saying. They don't care. There's certain guys that get away with everything. Like Draymond Green, he gets away with so much extra stuff than other people. And then there's people like Luka Doncic that get away with nothing, and it's so odd. And Russell Westbrook gets away with nothing either. And sure, I understand each of those guys they lip off and stuff. DeMarcus Cousins used to be like that too. They'd get away with nothing. But then there's guys like Draymond that seem to get away with everything. And a lot of people say LeBron gets away with a lot. I honestly think he probably does. He probably does get away with a lot too. Even if I am a LeBron and Lakers fan, but Luka's picked on. Russell Westbrook has been picked on. Certain guys are targeted a little bit differently. They fine for the stupid stuff. Flopping, I'm fine with. Get it out of the game. That's totally fine. That's one different thing. But, to go like this, that's just weird. I don't understand it. I don't know if they view that as, that's stupid. Does he want fine? He's mocking our league.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
It's silly. But Luka's in a miserable spot right now. I don't know if you saw his interview the other day. He's not happy.
No. And me and Eric, Eric being, the hell of a basketball player he was in high school and in college, I asked him, his opinion on if you bring in, I think that what Cuban was trying to do, have a Michael kind of Pippen thing there, and, Kobe was Shaq. You have the other guy, Clay and Steph. But Luka's kind of a playful kid still, and Kyrie has so much drama and controversy. I can't believe he would make that deal. I mean, what do you think, Nate?
I think it was just a borrow.
Let's piss off our face of our franchise.
It was. I mean, as soon as you saw the movie, you're like, this probably won't end. This probably won't end well. They're both ego guys. They both have egos in their own unique way. Luka wants to be a kid and have basketball be fun and also try to win. Yeah. Kyrie, I don't even know. You don't know. You can't read the guy. I'm not even going to try to comment on Kyrie Irving. He's a wild card. It kind of depends on the day of the week or the moon's pattern at the time. I mean, goodness gracious, he's so strange. Yes. You can't read him. All I know is everywhere Kyrie Irving has gone since Cleveland, he's been terrible. He's been great on the court. There's no denying his skill. He's an unbelievable talent, but he's pissed people off. He's pissed the fans off. The management can't stand the coaches. Some of the players can't stand him. It was not a match made in heaven or anything. It was not a good idea. But at the same time, I kind of get it, because if it works out, you're a genius. And if it doesn't, Kyrie's going to be gone at the end of the year, and they're going to have a ton of cap next year because they got rid of Finney Smith, and Kyrie's going to be gone. And then Jalen Brunson, is with the Knicks now. Some of his that would have been his contract. They didn't get him. So they're going to have some money next year to spend. So I think that's kind of what they said. Let's try to win it with Kyrie. If we take people off, fine. But next year, the year after, we'll sign the people that – they also had Kristaps Porzingis. He didn't work out either, but we'll try it again. We'll try it again. Then they'll try somebody else with him. I don't know. I just think Luka's tough to play with too. He's an isolation sort of guy.
Yes,
and he's a guy that demands the ball in his hands at all times. And he's hard to play off of. I think you need to surround the guy with shooters and rebounders, and that's kind of it. You know, you got to get 3-and-D guys, and then you got to get like one dominant physical post player, and that's kind of how you have to play.
I'm going to be honest. I think why it worked with, I mean, people said their relationship was terrible. With Kobe and Shaq, I think that's why it worked. I think they got to get a massive, dominant big guy in there, and then he controls the paint, and Luka's out on the wing. They're not interfering with each other,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they need like a back down post player or anything like that. I think they just need someone that attacks the glass and catches lobs. I think that's what they need.
Yeah.
Like DeAndre Jordan couldn't do it when he got there. He stunk. Kristaps is always hurt. Plus, he's a stretch guy. They need to find someone that's athletic enough to catch lobs and cut through the lane, but also doesn't park it in the paint and can make a 10-foot jump shot if they collapse on Luka and he can kick it out. They just haven't found that guy really that is good, serviceable enough. I don't know what they'll do. It'll be interesting, but yeah, they're really going through it. And I mean, goodness, if they keep slipping, they might not even make the playoffs. It's going to be weird.
Well, I don't know if you saw that graph either, and I know it's probably changed since the last time I saw it, but the Lakers were in a four-way tie there for the playoffs, and I'm like,
yep.
Okay, LeBron, you need to come back. Like if you're about to be,
I'll let LeBron keep sitting. LeBron and if AD needs to do the rest on the back-to-back, then because here's the thing, Drew, who cares if they come back and make the playoffs? They're not going to do anything.
No.
I'd rather those guys get the experience, get the camaraderie, and then when LeBron's actually ready, get him out there in the playoffs or whatever.
Right.
Because
I agree with you.
If we don't make it without him, that you probably don't deserve to be there anyway.
No.
They got enough guys around. They got AD and D'Lo, and Jared Vanderbilt's been a great player. Austin Reeves is playing out of his mind right now.
I love that guy.
him. If those guys can't get you there, then you probably don't deserve to be there anyway. So I'd rather save LeBron for the run. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I have enough faith in that guy. If he sat out for a month and a half, he'll come back and be fine.
No, I agree. But the other thing I was going to touch on too was the Ja Morant. What do you think here, Nate?
We
don't have to get too much into that.
It's tough, man. I think he's made some mistakes, and I hope he learned from it. That's all I hope. There's been a lot of worse things that have been done. I understand that we can't, downplay the, gun violence and the lifestyle and stuff. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot worse. Like these folks have brought in the locker rooms. They've been involved in actual shootings and stuff.
Yeah.
Not that any act like that should be tolerated, but Steven Jackson and Gilbert Arenas and Test. I mean, they've gone through a lot, and the NBA just doesn't want to slip down that slippery slope again. And I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they've sat down with him. The Grizzlies have, the league has, professional counselors have to try to get him out of this. It's just weird that he would act that way. He was kind of, I believe he's a suburban kid. Didn't really grow up in that sort of environment.
Right.
And he just kind of is being a little bit too much invested in the fun aspects of his life instead of playing ball. And, it's weird because the Grizzlies have a great opportunity right in front of them. They have one of the best teams in the league, a young team. But I think that this is showing that without veteran leadership in that locker room, this is what's bound to happen. So I think that hopefully the offseason they could reconsider the construction of their roster, and they find some of these, minimum deal veterans to come in and guide these guys because they need it. They got some great young players, but I think their oldest guy's like 29. Steven Adams might be their oldest guy. Yeah. So, and Steven Adams was trying to guide this team. He called team only meetings, and he can only do so much. Those guys can only do so much. So it's unfortunate. I hope the guys learn from it because he's a heck of a talent. He's one of the rare talents in this league. He can be one. I mean, if he continues on the pace he's on, he could be one of the all-time greats. He could be a Hall of Fame player, perennial all-star, all-NBA guy. So,
yeah,
unfortunate.
No, and I think that's what took me back was like, I'm like, this guy he's a dog. And then all of a sudden, like 2 months ago, there was like, okay, there's activity going on with him. I'm like, what is he doing? Like he has the world by the balls right now. What are you doing?
You said it right. He has too much to lose to be doing this stuff.
Yes.
It's unfortunate. The dude's probably going to lose $30 or $40 million this year because of the shenanigans. He has incentives in his contract that if he was like all NBA and stuff like that, he'd get like a huge bonus. And most likely because he missed so many games, he's not going to get it. So, and I get it's not all about the money. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, if you miss out on $30 or $40 million from not getting that, I think that'll make you wise up and reconsider. That's a lot of money. So.
Yes, it is. Yeah. No, and I think too, and just to kind of piggyback the older guy in the locker room, everybody was going after Haslam for the Heat. They're like, oh, he's trash. No, you need that kind of guy just to be there. He can't play much. Wasn't that great back in the day, Nate. But to have a 40-year-old guy in there guide these young players, I think that's important. I'd pay $3 million for that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think you get to that extreme as a 42-year-old veteran that hasn't played meaningful minutes in almost a decade, but you got to get somebody in there worth that, Right. Udonis Haslam should have been a coach like 5 years ago. Sure. There's no denying the dude could play. He's a great story, undrafted out of Florida, played for the Heat, won a couple titles, won, I think 3 titles, done some great things. Yep. He's going to be, Hall of Fame, the Heat Hall of Fame, and he'll probably stick around the organization forever and stuff, but you can't let it get to that point. I mean, that's silly. Here's the problem that I have with it. The biggest issue is he's taking a spot of someone who's actually worth, like, he's a guy that shouldn't be there, that's taking a spot from a guy that's making the money in the G League. So Udonis Haslam, who's made multi-million dollars, is forcing someone in the Heat organization or whatever, however you want to look at it, to go from making $2 or $3 million or 500,000 to go into making 200,000. It's a huge amount of money, and then the Heat, if you want to complain about your depth, well, there's guy 15. Sorry. What if you had somebody else there? You might play it a little differently because guy 15 isn't playing. We have to roll with 14 and then save a spot for the old man on the end with a cane. It's silly. So I get it, but coach, just go and coach. Just please. You can do the same thing as a coach. It's silly.
Even college. You could do college or NBA. You know what I mean? Jerry Stackhouse is with Vanderbilt. You know what I mean?
Right. So. Exactly. You've been washed up for 10 years, man. You had a great career. Heck, to be a 20-year veteran, there's not many people have done it, but the way that he became a 20-year veteran is very questionable. Right. There's no reason for it. He probably should have been a 10 or 12-year guy. That's about it. Right. It's weird.
Well, I agree with you, Nate. I do. But is there anything else you want to touch on, or you got, want to talk about, or anything at all?
No. Just appreciate the opportunity to come on. We had a great time. Obviously a lot of weird things going on in sports right now. Baseball starts next week, so we'll be looking forward to that. As a Pirates fan, we're not really looking forward to it other than McCutcheon's back, and hopefully he can make some more memories for, us who grew up loving the Pirates and stuff. And that was a special era when he was there and did a lot of cool things. Yeah. That's coming up, so that'll be cool. And, it's been a crazy March Madness. I don't know who's going to win it. If I had to pick right now, I'd bet UConn. I think they're the best team left, but you got to win 2 more games. So, we'll see what a crazy month it's been. And, just glad that we could kind of talk about what's going on in the world of sports here.
Yeah. But Nate, also too, I think, there's a lot of people that know are you going to any baseball stadiums this year or parks?
Yeah. I haven't cemented anything in. Okay. I believe I've been to 19 parks. I'm missing 2 on the East Coast, and then I think the Midwest is all covered except for Kansas City. But once those 3 are done, then I pretty much got the West Coast, Texas, Colorado, and Seattle, and that's pretty much it. I got to get the 2 New York teams, Kansas City, So I'm hoping that this year will be the year that I get up to New York City. I've never been there in my whole life. Quite an experience, I'm sure, for folks that have been there. But that's the plan right now, to hopefully get to New York City for a long weekend, 3, 4, 5 days, do the tourist thing, get some New York food, and then get to both of those stadiums. And then I'll be 9 left. So, which is nuts.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see if you do make the Yankee Stadium, that you got to take a couple pictures of videos for me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. Got to Fenway last summer. Got to Wrigley a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
Some legendary parks.
Yes.
Other than, I know it's new Yankee Stadium, but still it's associated with, the best franchise in baseball. I won't deny it. I don't like them particularly, but they won 27 world championships, and that speaks for itself, even if they did buy most of them in the recent years. But, they're still special, and, I'm looking forward to that, hopefully. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's on the docket now. We'll see what happens. I can't even believe I've been to 19. I only started this in 2017. So pretty crazy that it's only been like 6 years, and I'm well over halfway done. I'm like 60 some odd % away or completed, and only like 40 some odd or 30 some odd % away from finishing the whole thing.
Yeah. No. And no, I think there's a lot of people out there that follow your journey, going to all those ballparks. So it's pretty cool.
Appreciate it, man.
But that's anything else, Nate, or are we good to go?
No, man. Just appreciate the opportunity. It was cool to catch up with you, for sure.
Yeah, always, Nate. But again, people out there, this is another episode of Buckle Up with the Boys with special guest Nate Steis. Have a good day. Have a good night. God bless, and stay safe out there. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you. And